And we're just coming back from that weekend of an intense exercise. But the question is, will the National Democratic Congress's reorganization plan work? That's the question on the lips of many this afternoon as the party is beginning to strategize to reclaim power in 2024. But even before that plan is actualized, there are concerns about the divisions within the NDC. Former chairperson of the party, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, says the just ended NDC's National Delegates Congress actually witnessed some form, the worst form in his view, of inner vilification, personal attacks and public injury, which could affect the unity of the party. Here are excerpts of what it is that Samuel Ampofo has put up as part of his message after the 10th National Delegates Congress of the NDC. It reads that on behalf of Team Ofosu-Ampofo, I wish to congratulate the newly elected national chairperson and other national executives of our dear party. The NDC, which emerged victorious at the just ended 10th National Delegates Congress held at Accra Sports Stadium on Saturday, 17th of December 2022. Then he goes ahead to point out some issues. He says that while these elections needlessly witnessed the worst form of inner vilification, personal attacks, and the public injury to the hard-won reputation of our party through various means of public spaces and on social media platforms, this insensitivity will inadvertently affect our restitution, unity and cohesion needed to engender the collective prosecution of our agenda for Victory 2024. Based on this, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo is making some points. He's asking that, quote, let us appreciate that this victory is similar to the prelude to the battle ahead of us. I pray that we quickly recover from our individual pain and dented reputation to restore our public morality so we can join forces to soldier on. And he points out finally that I rededicate myself to the bigger task of working for Victory 2024 and pledge my unalloyed commitment to work even harder for the party together with the elected national officers and the rank and file of our great party to achieve our ultimate goal of regaining power from the NPP in 2024. That's the position of Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, who's been ousted from office by Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who's the longest-serving General Secretary of the NDC. Now he's moved on to become chairperson. There's a new demand from a group known as the NDC Caucus of Regional Chairmen. They are urging the national chairperson, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, to work towards uniting the party as they seek to reclaim power in 2024. The group is making a number of demands for this national executive and the new crop of leadership to consider. So here are excerpts of that statement on your screen as well. So it says that on behalf of the 16 regions, we wish to congratulate the new national chairperson of our party, Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia, and his dynamic team of national executives. The emphatic win over Asiedu Nketia across all regions underscores the party's confidence in him. Now, they go ahead to say that we trust him to unite and lead us and most importantly deliver victory in 2024. And we urge the national chairman and his newly elected executives to quickly bring everybody on board as promised in order to secure power in 2024. Beyond that as well, the group is asking that securing power in 2024 is absolutely necessary to relieve Ghanaians from the current economic hardship imposed by the quote, clueless and inept NPP government. All the 16 regional chairmen of the NDC, on behalf of our various regions, we pledge our fullest support to Chairman Asiedu Nketia's administration. I want us now to broaden this conversation as the group further shows readiness to work together for Victory 2024. Let's bring in now, joining us via Zoom, Keva Mark Oliver, his secretary for the NDC Caucus of Regional Chairmen. Mark, thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. So let's get to it. You believe that there's immense confidence in Johnson Asiedu Nketia having won throughout all 16 regions. But here we are, your immediate past chairperson, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, believes that processes leading to this very contest was not healthy and may lead to cracks within your party.
Well, good afternoon to the viewers of Joy News, and I wish to congratulate everybody in the NDC, especially the aspirants and delegates who turned up to our 10th National Delegate Congress. It is important to understand that in democracies such as ours, competing for positions are part of our norms. And once you have prominent people like the immediate past national chairman and our immediate past general secretary, who is now our national chairman, competing for a position, it is expected that there will be some level of give and take among these two personalities and their supporters. So what you see out there as acrimony, I feel are normal in competitions like this, where you have very senior people, very top popular people competing. I will say, in the history of the NDC, as far as my knowledge, serves me right, I think this is one of the most competitive positions that have been contested for in our recent past.
Yeah, and he says that, and he believes that the reputation of those involved have been severely damaged. Do you still need these individuals going into the 2024 general elections?
Yes, very well. And that is the reason why we have come together as a regional chairman to quickly rally everybody behind the new national chairman, and for him to also leverage on the massive support that he received to bring everybody on board. Once you go into a competition and lose, you have some level of pace. It is expected. We have all gone into an election. We have lost. We have won some. I'm sure our national chairman for a very long time has not tasted defeat, or might never have tasted a defeat in an internal election. So, some of these things you expect that you may want to give up easily, but it's not that easy. That is the reason why normally the victor must also show some magnanimity, stretch his hand and make sure that all other people also come on board. So these are very normal with internal elections. And for me, it was very smooth, violent free. If you compare it to what happened, I think in either 2005 or 2006 in Koforidua Eredek, I think that was the most violent internal elections that we have witnessed as a political party. What we saw in Accra came no close to what happened in that particular election. This was violent.
Regardless of that, he believes that you need to seal the cracks. What's your expectation, very practical expectations from Johnson Asiedu Nketia, who has on countless occasions, of course, blamed the immediate past chairperson, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo. Do you feel that they'll be able to work together?
They should. If you put the party and the country and the impending elections, 2024 general elections, above our individual interests and our personal interests, it should be easy for everybody to come on board, to prosecute that agenda. And it is not just at the national level. We have had elections at the branches. We had over close to 40,000 branch elections. We had victors and we had those who lost. At the constituency level, we have had elections in 276 constituencies in Ghana. So in 276 countries, it's also that victors and those who were lost. Some of them were very acrimonious in their constituencies too, same as region. I can also talk about my own personal experience, where I also witnessed, one of the most acrimonious elections in the Eastern region. I won, others lost. It is incumbent on me to bring all others on board. So the reconciliation process will start from the top, but will move down to the regions, to the constituencies, to the branches quickly for us to rally everybody on board to be able to prosecute the 2024 agenda.
But here's the thing, and since you're from the Eastern region, I need to find out your thoughts on that. That's deemed to be the home region of your immediate past chairperson, Samuel Ofosu-Ampofo, and yet almost all the votes, well, I'm not placing it fairly, let me say that Johnson Asiedu Nketia emerged victorious in that region. What accounted for that? Is it the case that even back home, Samuel Ofusampofu did not have that much popularity?
Well, one thing people don't understand is that these elections went beyond the personalities that were involved. So some of the issues were not about who likes Honorable Ampofu or who doesn't like Ampofu. People have a certain mindset that, well, we have seen Honorable Ampofu leading us in 2020. We improved. We got some votes, but then at the end of the day, we are still in opposition. So people feel that we should move beyond the numbers, beyond the statistics, beyond saying that we have done well in an election and capture power. And the sentiment on the ground is that they have confidence. It's about the confidence. Is that they have the confidence in Johnson Asiedu Nketia to be able to lead and capture power, not just to improve upon our vote or capture more seats, but to capture power from the MPP. So that was the sentiment, that was down. And I think that it's reflected in the results that came. So it wasn't about who is from your region or who is not from your region, but it is about the people's confidence in who to lead us in 2024 to secure power. That is what they looked at.
Right. So very briefly, as we wrap up, in just a few seconds, what's the message from the NDC Regional Chairman Caucus to the grassroots of the party? It appears you have a message for the leadership, but how about the grassroots? Very briefly on that point.
Yes. Elections are over. This is the final one. Elections are over. We have conducted successful elections in close to 40,000 branches in the country. We have done elections in 276 countries in Ghana. And then we have done regional elections in all 16 regions. And then we climaxed it with our National Congress just this weekend. It has been largely successful. The enthusiasm and the energy that was displayed should be carried on into the parliamentary and presidential primaries. And at the end of the day, when we finally endorse His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, we expect the grassroots to put in their all to make sure that he's made president again. So we are telling our grassroots that we should put what has happened in the election behind us, whether acrimonious or peaceful, we should put it behind us and then come together.
So which school? That's why we can. Yeah, but I want to know the school.
It appears we're having a bit of a mix-up there, but of course you were still with us here on the Pulse on the JoyNews channel. Let's take you to some other stories now. So we have Mark Oliver Kevo back. We lost you there briefly, but you're just making a point about how your grassroots should be participating in the exercise.
Yes, so we are urging them to leave their preferences behind. Well, you know that when you have elections, people have their own preferences. You want Mr. A to win, Mr. A doesn't win, Mr. B wins. Then you have to move beyond that and make sure that you support those who won. Bring all you have, your resources, your expertise, and all that you need to give out to make sure that the ultimate of winning power in 2024 is achieved. That should be our overarching objective. We should move beyond our individual interests.
Right. Is there any meeting in the offing, something you are organizing amongst yourself as regional chairman and the newly elected executives?
Well, we have the formal structures. The caucus of regional chairman is an informal structure that normally leads consensus building and some of these reconciliation processes and all that. But our formal structures are there. Now we have a leader, that is Honorable Johnson Asiedu Nketia. I'm sure very quickly he will organize his first FEC meeting and go ahead to organize the NEC meeting, which we are all members of. And then from there, I'm sure, as we have been doing, and it's a normal standard of operation procedure. Every year after general elections, we hold reconciliation programs, right from the national level, and then move down to the regions, to the constituencies, and to the branches. So these are processes that we normally do after elections. We hope to quickly go through the process and then ready ourselves for the other activities ahead of us.
And I'm grateful for your time, Mark Oliver
Thank
Kebo.
you.
He is the secretary to the NDC Chairperson's Caucus. Let's take you elsewhere now. Some unidentified gunmen have targeted power infrastructure at Baku, plunging communities in the upper and northeast regions, including Nararigo, into darkness. It comes as renewed clashes have been recorded in Baku Township and its environs. According to the power distributor, NETCO, the gunmen fired at one of the towers in the town, leading to the damage of key conductors in the area. NETCO says it cannot tell for now when the problem will be rectified and power restored. It, however, assures residents that technicians are working around the clock to fix the damage. Correspondent Ilyasu Tanko joins us with more on this. Ilyasu, I'm just wondering what, first of all, triggered this sort of renewed clashes in the area. What are you able to tell us on that? And Ilyasu, kindly unmute so I can get the point you're making. Ilyasu, if you can hear me, I'm just asking about what's sparking this renewed clashes that we're hearing of.
Well, what we are learning is that there have been some chieftaincy dispute in that area, but on this particular latest clashes, we are yet to tell exactly what caused this particular fighting, but we understand it's as a result of
Ilyasu? Okay. We'll try and, of course, get the latest.
This is what we are learning.
Okay, Ilyasu is back. Sorry, Ilyasu, we lost you briefly. If you could just take that point for us again.
Well, I'm saying that the fighting, as we understand, is connected to the long-standing chieftaincy dispute in the Baku area.
And we're learning of darkness now in the area. What more are we hearing from NETCO, for instance? And has power been restored, by the way?
Not at all. The power, went off yesterday around 1 p.m. And as I speak to you now, power hasn't been restored in most of the communities in the Upper East and Northeast region, including the regional capital, the Northeast region, Nararigo itself. We are learning that the NETCO has just put out a statement out that the situation is as a result of the destruction of a tower in the Baku Township. We understand some of the gunmen targeted the power utility infrastructure and destroyed it. They fired at it, causing the damage of a conductor in there. And so this is the result of, this is as a result of the fighting that has been ongoing in that area. So as we speak, there's no power in most communities in the Upper East and Northeast region. Not only that, including communities in the Burkina Faso, communities such as B2, and also in the Republic of Togo, Pango. And so this particular incident is not only related to communities in Ghana, but in Burkina Faso and Togo as well.
How about the security agencies? Do we know if there's a DISEC meeting underway, and what are some of the indications we're getting from that engagement?
Well, we understand the security forces have sprung into action. Residents in Baku reported seeing fighter jets hovering around the town. We also learned that there have been men of the Operation Calm Life and the Conquer Face are also on the ground patrolling the township. We understand there have been some meetings at the municipal level as well as the regional level, but we have not had any public comment from these two outfits.
Ilyasu, I'm grateful for your time. Let's bring in a security analyst, Dr. Adam Bona, who's joining us via Zoom now. Doc, we're not expecting this. It's all of a sudden. Do you feel that we went to bed feeling that the area is secured and that possibilities of having renewed clashes was far, far away?
Oh, yes. Good afternoon. I won't say we went to bed feeling that the situation in Baku had completely calmed down. Not at all. I was personally part of the delegation that visited Baku to broker peace about 3 months ago. And since then, we really haven't had this kind of confrontation in the Baku area. I think before the Damba festival, there were some isolated incidents of sporadic, shootings in the town. But we really haven't had any form of shooting like this, so disturbance like this in Baku, because then we managed to broker a certain sense of peace. We spoke to the young people. We met the Baku Naba, met the leaders of the Mamprosi area, and met the youth of the Kusasi area, the youth of the Mamprosi area, and it was a large security delegation. You can say almost the entire security architecture, almost all the entire security architecture was in Baku on that day. And subsequently, we haven't had these type of disturbance. So it's very worrying that this thing comes up again. And when we are expecting to have the Samampede Festival. Remember, the Samampede Festival is supposed to take place on the 30th. And so our expectation was that we were expecting that, there would be another round of discussions and negotiations and dialoguing with them, both parties, around the time, because they gave us 3 months to come back to them. And so the 3 months is not over yet. It's going to be around the 30th. But unfortunately, since the last week or so, some of us started receiving several messages, tons of messages from opinion leaders, security chiefs in the Baku area, the Upper East to be specific, including Baku, about this disturbance. So I must say, blessed, it's very unfortunate. It shouldn't have happened, not at all. But be as it may, it has happened, and we must find a solution to, this round of conflict or, disturbance in Baku.
So let's look at the possibilities in terms of the immediate solution. The DISEC will be engaging later today. We're waiting for the fallouts. But what do you suspect might be the options now?
I think yesterday, if my sources is right, there is curfew 12 midday. It started 12 midday yesterday and continues today. So if your reporter in the Upper East or the Baku area will report, as at yesterday, when the highways area, the markets and all those, the information hadn't gone down to the people, so they were still there. And so I don't want to believe that as of today, if you visit Baku Township, you will find a good number of people hovering around. Because yesterday, I think the mid-afternoon to late afternoon area, some fighter jets were deployed were scrambled to Baku to ensure they can, provide some cover for the security officers who were deployed or were moving there, because the place is very close to Burkina, and the disturbances, you have a Burkina Faso that is inhabited. 60% of Burkina Faso is in the hands of rebels. And so this type of, conflict or this type of disturbance in Baku, we could have a spillover of what is happening in Burkina into our territory. And therefore, there is a need for us to pay attention to what is happening in Baku. And I say that, very worrisome to the extent that a fire tender that was scrambled or that was deployed to go and extinguish houses that were on fire were shot into. Fire tenders were shot into in Baku. Fire tenders that were deployed to, because some homes had been touched, that were deployed to go and extinguish these fires. On their way, they were ambushed and fired into, and the fuel tanks were, they fired into them. If these fire tenders were fire tenders that uses gasoline or call it petrol, it would have exploded and killed all the fire officers who were on board the fire tender. It tells you the severity of what is staring at us in Baku, where you have some of these young people who will not let peace reign in Baku, and they are ready to fight, use guerrilla tactics to fight in Baku, which is not inuring to anybody's benefit, especially when you have a very important festival that is upcoming on the 30th, the Samanpit Festival, which is largely celebrated by the Kusasis. And so with this type of confrontation, it is worrying, because then can we have a peaceful festival on the 30th? I mean, I'm praying, I'm hoping that the young people would put down their weapons. I have spoken to very important chiefs in the Baku traditional area. I've spoken to them within the Upper East, the Baku area, trying to let them know that the young people should put down their weapons, so that dialogue. They should use a lot more of dialogue instead of fighting one another. But I think you asked your reporter what brought about this round of confrontation.
All right.
It started when an old man was shot dead, and I think a young man, I think his son of the sort, was injured. And so that's for the old man, he got killed, but the young man got injuries. I think he's receiving medical attention. As of yesterday when I checked, he was in, I think, Boga, receiving medical attention. But personally, I have engaged a lot of the security couples and some of the important traditional, leaders, the chieftaincy, some of them in the Baku area. Yes.
Dr. Adambona, we're grateful that you've been able to join us this afternoon. Let's look at what's happening in terms of power supply. Alassane Baba Ibrahim is Corporate Communications Manager for NEDCO. They've been working all throughout the night and working around the clock to get power restored to the area. Alassane, what are you able to report now? Have you restored power supply to the community?
Not yet, my dear brother. Like we said earlier, we are working around the clock to see how we can quickly fix the injured part of the network so that we can restore power supply as soon as possible. But I must also say that the part of the network that got damaged belongs to GRIDCO. However, NEDCO depends on the healthy network of GRIDCO in order to be able to supply its customers. And so whatever affects NEDCO, GRIDCO affects NEDCO as well. That is how come we have to team up with GRIDCO to ensure that the injured part of the network is restored as quickly as possible.
The fear is that security arrangements in the area may be complicated once there is no power supply, i.e. there's total darkness in the community. Are you alarmed about this, equally concerned, and that should be working extra hard to get power to the place?
That's very true, and that puts extra pressure on us because largely electricity is also a security matter. And so without electricity, generally, it creates a security situation, especially in places that are troubled by ethnic communal violence like Baku. And so it is important that we double our efforts to ensure that as quickly as possible, we are able to fix the damaged part and then restore supply.
Are you considering alternatives at this point, probably trying to get power from another source?
As it stands now, the quickest and easiest will be to fix that part because it's the 161 network that wheels power into our substation in Baku that got injured. And so as part of the restoration work and repair works we need to do is to see how we can quickly rejoin the cut cable so that it can restore power as soon as possible. Otherwise, if we want to take power from any other corridor, that will require much more time than the problem we have at hand. And so it is in the best interest of all of us to concentrate and direct all our energies to the damaged part, fix it, and then restore supply. But going forward, we really need to look at other alternative ways of filling power into Baku, just so that we won't be relying on the single line that can give us problems like this in the future.
What are you advising and urging residents to do as you work to restore power?
I honestly do not want to believe that the feuding parties went out to target the network. However, what has happened can pose or present the network as a potential weapon to use against each other in such battles. We hope and pray that our young men will not consider that, because once that happens, it comes back to bite all of us instead of the other feuding party. And so it's important that even in the midst of these struggles and difficulties, we isolate certain public and human interest institutions like NEDCO and protect their network, even as we try to settle our scores in some other ways. We will also want to appeal that peace really is priceless, and any community that wants to thrive and develop will rely on peace to get development that they deserve. Baku has become a pale shadow of itself since this conflict started, and we can only appeal to peace-based institutions and organizations to double their effort, like Dr. Bona and his allied organizations, to double their effort, to talk to the young men. I know they are doing, if they can do more to ensure that all other organizations that have presence in Baku can have peace and peace of mind and stable working environment to deliver on their mandate like NEDCO, just so that everybody can get the power as they deserve.
And you still have pieces of critical infrastructure within Baku itself. Are you working together with the Ghana Police Service to protect some of these installations you have in the community?
Yes, we have always done so. We work with the security agencies, sometimes police, military, sometimes only police. Sometimes when it becomes necessary, we involve the other security agencies like prisons, fire, just so that our installations can be secured and protected. We will continue to do that. And then also we ensure that as we go through all these difficult times, we still need electricity. And for that matter, we need to keep our staff in Baku, just so that when there is some relative calm and there's outage in some areas, they can rush in quickly and restore supply for the people to go on with their daily lives. So the security agencies, we are in touch with them. We continue to talk. We show them where our network is and our installations, just so that they can help us in keeping them safe to deliver power to the good people of Baku and its surrounding communities.
Grateful for your time. Let's bring in Sumaila Isaka, chairperson of the Peace Council. The council in the Upper East region is asking feuding factions to desist from any further attacks. Sumaila, you are part of that council. What immediate steps are you taking to ensure calm?
The Peace Council has been working on the Baku chieftaincy issue for a very long time. Just about the last 2 months, let me say, for instance, we had some support from the LRI USAID group And we did some work on the Baku Inter-Ethnic Peace Council grouping of about 20 of them from all the tribes in Baku. We first took them to Tamale, hosted them there, and worked on them for 3-4 days. And then about 3 weeks ago, we had this same group in Sogah again. And the two chairpersons, one from the Mampusi side and one from the Bokuase side, were all there. They gave their commitment to the fact that they wanted peace and that we had a roadmap. They identified some youth groups and some women groups and so on and so forth that we were to work through. And this was what we did the last time.
Okay, but now in the wake of this renewed clash, I'm wondering what immediate steps you're taking just to ensure that there is calm.
Unless the security give us permission, we don't go into it. They have not created a buffer yet. And for now, we are working through the Inter-Ethnic Peace Council. That is people from all the tribes in Baku. Apart from, in fact, including the Mapuche and the Kusasis, we have the Moshis, we have the Dises, we have the Dagumbes, we have the Houses, and so on and so forth, who are all members of this group. They can get to their people easily. But for us to go into Baku now, it's going to be dangerous. We would not dare. Because, let me say this, only a few hours ago, a senior of mine in school who had been living in Baku came into town on his way to Tamale. And he told me he would not stay. He cannot stay. He doesn't belong to any of the tribes. He's leaving because he cannot continuously hear the rattling of guns and whatnot. So he's gone. You see, and it said that you cannot predict when and where they're going to start firing from. So we leave that to the security now. If they give us the chance, we will come in. But for now, we are doing our own underground work with the inter-ethnic group that is living in there and has members from the various tribes and working on this issue. Right. Let me say the Baku thing now is gone beyond Mampusi and Kusasis. It looks like all the other tribes have also kind of joined hands, taking sides. And even you cannot even be sure that one full tribe is all on one side or the other. It's an individual decision. So we try to get them to understand and let the guns shut up. But, well, understand it's now the lifestyle in Baku that every night somebody gets up, takes his weapon, and sends in some flashes. Pow, 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 pow. And then the other side man says, oh, these are flashes. He's flashing his gun. But when he rattles it, they say it's a call. Let me reply him. Then he also picks his gun and fires in the direction of the sound that he heard. This is what they're doing to themselves. So I don't know whether we can rule out the criminal aspect from it. Some criminals who want to sell their bullets would create situations like this too. But for now, we are on a standby.
All right. Sumaila Isaka, thank you for speaking to us here on The Pulse. Let's talk economy. Deputy Ranking on the Communications Committee of Parliament, Sam George, says Ghana's image internationally will be battered with the latest decision by government to suspend interest payments on international debts. The Finance Ministry announced this morning as part of government's debt restructuring efforts that it was going to suspend external debt interest payments towards getting a deal with the International Monetary Fund. I will cross over to Parliament shortly, but first on your screens now is a copy of a statement released by the Finance Ministry. We can now bring in Professor John Gachi, who's also been monitoring the development. But first, let's listen to the Finance Minister as well. He's been addressing the press a while ago.
Good afternoon. I'm once again delighted to update you on progress we are making to address the economic challenges facing the country. Ladies and gentlemen, after presenting the 2023 budget to Parliament on 24th November 2022, Parliament worked tirelessly to provide policy approval of the budget on Tuesday, 6 December 2022. On behalf of His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, I wish to use this occasion to express sincere gratitude to Right Honourable Speaker, the leadership of Parliament, and all members of Parliament for working hard beyond official hours and over weekends to approve the policies underpinning the 2023 budget. This approval is the first step in the approval process. The next stage, which is currently ongoing, is for Parliament to consider and approve the budget estimates of individual MMDAs. In addition, Parliament is also considering for approval the fiscal measures, both revenues and expenditures, and their related legal instruments underpinning the 2023 budget. This second stage will culminate in approval of the appropriations bill, which will enable the implementation of the 2023 budget. We are, therefore, calling on the Parliament to favorably consider the fiscal measures in the 2023 budget as they are an integral part of the package for addressing the economic challenges facing the country and will facilitate the approval of an IMF program by its board. As you know, the fund program consists of three important components: attaining a stable macroeconomic environment, obtaining debt sustainability, and seeking financing assurances. Ghana's domestic debt program was launched on Monday, 5th December 2022. The objective of the program is to reduce Ghana's current debt burden and its servicing implications on our economy. The program is designed to achieve this in the most orderly, transparent, efficient, and expedited manner. It is critical to restoring macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability. The government has continued to dialogue extensively with various stakeholders, including regulators and representatives across the pensions, banking, asset management, and insurance sectors. We have discussed with them the rationale behind the domestic debt exchange program, understood their perspectives, and taken their feedback. Ultimately, confidence and the active participation of all stakeholders are the essential elements for the success of this debt exchange program. As such, government is committed to laying out a path towards attaining debt sustainability informed by sound technical analysis and broad stakeholder engagement. Following the launch and as part of the broader macroeconomic and structural reforms, the IMF and government signed off a staff-level agreement on 13 December 2022 for a US $3 billion extended credit facility. So far, we have all witnessed the gains of the CD over the past week, as well as the attainment of the staff-level agreement in near record time. These are results of our collective efforts. As 1 Samuel 30:19 says, nothing was missing, great or small. We must and we will collectively recover all. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to recover all, we still have a lot of work to do before the end of the year in order to gain the full benefit of the debt exchange program. Following the stakeholder engagements, government has agreed to extend the expiration date for the domestic debt exchange to 30th December 2022 to allow for key concerns raised by stakeholders to be accommodated in some form. The launch of the debt exchange program, coupled with the signing of the staff level agreement with the IMF, have aided our stability efforts and have in particular contributed significantly to the rebound of our currency. While accommodating the inputs of stakeholders, we must do all we can to sustain the gains of these initiatives, keeping in sight the urgency of obtaining IMF board approval in Q1 2023. The cost of this not succeeding will be too huge for our economy. That is why we urge Parliament to support us in getting the appropriations bill for the 2023 fiscal year passed. We also urge Parliament to support in particular new revenue measures outlined in the 2023 budget, which aim to improve revenue mobilization. We cannot afford to repeat the mistakes of 2022. Our end game as a government has always been to achieve a Ghana beyond aid, a wealthy, inclusive, sustainable, empowered, and resilient society, a wiser Ghana. The necessary precondition for this is a stable macroeconomic environment. Viewed within that lens, restructuring our debt is only but a necessary part of our story. The ensuing years will focus on building an entrepreneurial and export-driven economy as we grow the economy to protect and create jobs, tackle inflation, and strengthen our currency. Importation of food should soon be a thing of the past. We cannot afford to lose this essence of forward momentum for our economy as we navigate towards stability, predictability, and growth. 2023 must be our comeback year, a year in which we put in place stronger foundations that will allow us to change our country for the better and in a way that is enduring, inclusive, and transformational. We all have a role to play, and I urge us all to work together with the government and support the various interventions being implemented to kickstart our recovery in a determined, bold, and courageous way. Above all, I urge us all to maintain an unshakable sense of optimism about Ghana in the days and years ahead. Indeed, the Lord is the lifter of our heads. Psalm 3, verse 4. As we all witness a new confidence in our currency and the prospects of the certainty of an IMF board approval of our staff level agreement. I wish each and everyone a Merry Christmas, a Christ-centered season, and the best of this holiday period. Thank you, and God bless us all in our homeland, Ghana.
Well, let's bring in Professor John Gachi, Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. Prof, here we are today. It's confirmed. Initially, you, the experts, raised that possibility was dismissed at some point by the Ministry of Finance. Now we're getting that clear indication that Ghana will be defaulting on the settlement of its external debts. What are the likely implications now?
Well, first of all, when a debt default is announced, it means that the credit worthiness of Ghana is not proper, and that is a cost to Ghana for the future date. It is also an indication that we have breached contract. Debt is largely contract. So we have breached contract to pay principal, we have breached contract to pay interest. So that will go a long way to affect us. Credit rating agencies may also come up with downgrade, but I am indicating that the downgrade may not be of significance to us now because we are not going into the debt market anytime soon. So if you downgrade us and we go to the market, that is when it will have effect on us. So I believe the government know that, and that is why the external debt default is announced. But it will come to meet us seriously if the IMF program is signed on to in first quarter of next year. It provides credibility to our policies, and that policy credibility will have to be financed. And the IMF alone cannot finance our projects. The IMF is bringing finances in tranches and based on meeting criteria set for the programs. So you don't depend on the IMF for the finances needs of the country, but you depend on the IMF for that credibility for your programs. So at that point, we can convince creditors to participate in our bonds, our debt instrument. And that is where I believe it is tricky. So we just indicated to the entire world that we are not credit worthy. We cannot pay our debts, and that is how they will see us.
Could we have avoided this?
Of course, we could have avoided it, number one, by how we borrowed money from our creditors. We have every opportunity to cut our coat according to our size. We have every opportunity to manage our economy very well. We failed to do that, and we have come to this point. So we have every opportunity to avoid that.
I was interacting with the former finance minister over the weekend. He says that we equally failed to take advantage of the debt suspension program initiated by the IMF and the World Bank. Are we way out of that option?
We are way out of that option. It is not available to us. We have not signed onto it. The deadline is passed. And what is left with that is what we are facing.
Where we are now, in terms of the internal implications, for instance, we're hearing from some members of parliament to say that some of our assets could be taking over elsewhere. I mean, our interest that we have within our domain or our territories may also be seized. Could these be some of the extent to which we may face sanctions and implications based on what we're doing?
Well, it depends on the sources of the Eurobond and the commercial debt in particular. If the institutional investors who lend money to us are vulture funds, then that clearly will metamorphose into taking drastic and ruthless action against Ghana, including seizure of our assets across the world. Our interests across the world may be touched by these vulture funds. Then the second one is that our creditors may decide to sell their debt to vulture funds, for which the vulture funds will want to retrieve the money through whatever means available to them, including seizure of assets across the world, including touching on the interests of Ghana across the world. So that may happen. But if the debt holders are just normal investors, perhaps they may want to take legal actions, because clearly what has happened is breaching contracts regarding debt. So they can take legal actions. But for assets to be seized, you look at the nature of the creditors. If the nature of the creditor mimic that of a vulture funds, then that will be triggered.
And there are also concerns on some fronts about the appointment of some external financial advisors as we carry out this debt restructuring program. Should that really matter?
Well, that is the choice of the government. Because, mind you, when you want to do debt restructuring, external debt restructuring is much more easier. especially if you focus on bilateral and multilateral. That attempt was made and it failed. So we have to focus on the domestic debt restructuring. And that is where we are now. So you don't want to go back. You are sending a number of people to focus on all these category of creditors. That is what has led to choosing about 4 consortium to do that. That is also costly to us, but I believe government think that when they do that, that will inure to their benefit. But come to think of it, we have excluded multilateral creditors just because IMF is one of the multilateral creditors. World Bank is another. When we are expecting to sign a deal with the IMF in the next quarter, we can't offend them. And then when the IMF sign the contract with us, the program with us, it invites World Bank to help us finance development projects. So we are very mindful not to do that. And what is encouraging us to touch bilateral, etc., is what is not known to me from the finance minister, why he chose to do that. Because some of the bilateral debt holders has influence in the IMF cycles, and they may not be happy, and that can also trigger some risk for us as a country.
And the finance minister is still basing his hopes on the first quarter of next year, the time frame by which he believes we may have the IMF bailout program. Is it a done deal?
It is not a done deal. The statement is premised or is predicated on the fact that debt restructuring arrangements are completed. And some other conditionalities are also fulfilled. We have announced in the budget freeze on employment, not net freeze on employment, freeze on employment starting from 2023. Of course, you cannot measure that policy effectiveness in the first quarter. You will have to wait and see whether indeed the first quarter they will not employ, whether indeed the second quarter they will not employ, and perhaps that shows that they are committed to that. So that is how that will be measured. Then again, you want to bring about more revenue measures, especially increasing VAT by 2.5%. That in itself is going to galvanize upward development in prices across board in the country.
Right.
And that has not been agreed on fully. And it will take some time. And I'm not sure the minority in parliament are agreeable to that. And that is also another factor that will be considered. Already, the domestic debt holders are not in agreement with the negotiations so far. And for that matter, the government has extended the deadline to 30th of this month. If after 30th of this month, they have not been able to agree on the terms in terms of maturity, in terms of interest payment, because as you know, some of the tier 1 banks are exposed to government to the tune of about 7 billion, some to about 5 billion, etc. So if all these things don't work out well for government, then we will not see the program signed to in the first quarter.
Well, we wait to see what then happens, but I'm grateful for your time. Professor John Gachi, Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. You're still with us here on The Pulse. We'll be back shortly. Residents of Newtown and Asylum Town are appealing to city authorities to fix all their dysfunctional traffic lights within the area. Some traffic lights have been off for as long as 5 months, leaving pedestrians at the mercy of drivers who slug it out with each other as they try to make it to the other side of the road. JoyNews' Faustina Safo has more in this report.
It's rush hour and traffic is gradually building up at a cross printing hub, Newtown. For close to 30 minutes, I've been at Royal Castle Road intersection to observe traffic flow. Loud honks and hurling of insult is the order of the day as motorists slug it out with each other in a desperate attempt to cross the road to either side of the intersection. A problematic scene that a functional traffic light could solve effortlessly. However, out of the 4 traffic lights mounted at Royal Castle Road, only one of them is functional.
As a matter of fact, traffic light is something that we all know how beneficial it is. But unfortunately, when it happens that the light is not working, all the drivers are trying to penetrate whether it is his turn to go or not. And sometimes you see someone is passing or motor is passing. And if it's unfortunately that it hits someone, you cannot watch it. Because we are all humans. It can be that it's your relative. Even if it's not your relative, he's a human like you. How do you feel? So we plead that if possible, they can come and work on it so that it will work so as the car will go smoothly without having any crash.
Traffic light, the high, if you say, Baku, Baku, Debia, no more to quadra for no more crash, no more. The traffic light in the higher part, and another should not make my high.
The traffic light is a nuisance. One is working while the other is not. Every day, drivers argue over who has the right of way. We urge government to fix this.
Hannah, what dear, but we say way a major road. A cars near not way back, no ye. This
is a busy stretch. The drivers are mostly impatient and they collide with motor riders. The other day, a child was knocked down. We urge city authorities to help us fix it.
Here at Sadisco Junction, pedestrians have to literally plead with drivers to cross the busy intersection. They say the traffic light has not been functioning for months.
Traffic light in about 5 months. I say, a accident to happen. Go traffic light. A accident to her. The traffic can happen. Machawa, and yes, the papa.
For the past 5 months, this traffic light has not been functioning. It causes accidents here at Kokomlemle. So we plead with government to fix it.
I am always here. I have witnessed vehicles collide with motor riders. This stretch is mostly busy and children use this route every day to school. It's dangerous.
The traffic light has caused the death of many in this area. Sometimes city authorities come to have a look at it, but still they fail to fix it.
Well, I've been observing traffic flow for the past 30 minutes here at Kokomlemle's Sadisco traffic light, and it's quite difficult for pedestrians to make it to either side of the road because they have to get the attention of drivers who are unwilling to stop because the traffic lights are not functional. Commuters, residents and drivers themselves are calling on city authorities to, as a matter of urgency, fix the malfunctioning traffic light. This busy intersection at Kojo Thompson Road, which connects drivers from Adabraka to Newtown and Kwame Nkrumah Circle, also has traffic lights that do not work. Residents say pedestrian knockdowns are frequent on the stretch.
Me a total driver, me drive on Newtown to Accra. Now, traffic no engagement, they have dream baby. Say, and correct me, Trump. Abasa and correct Trump, not that engagement. Untimi and ye. I said, you do no, we never tre, now we jina, and the rest doesn't know beyond what's about Terreno. In the traffic, the engagement and a hard drain.
I am a trotro driver. I apply the Newtown Accra route all the time. This traffic light needs to be fixed. It's the children I fear for because they cross this intersection to get to school. Some of us have the courtesy to stop for them to cross, but other drivers do not.
Traffic light is a 7 weeks. Now, to be frank, I have no accident here at Tasiwano, and it's a traffic light near Juma and Kasatra accidents in Kansi.
It's been 7 weeks since the traffic lights stopped working. City authorities came here to have a look at it, and we expected them to fix it. But till date, we haven't heard from them.
The traffic lights over here, our major concern is there are students around because there is a cluster of schools around. And when these students are going to school, someone has to stand in the middle of the road and stop the cars before the students can cross. Otherwise, the drivers, they will never stand. They will never wait for the children to come and pass. So we are urging the government to come and repair all the traffic lights so that the students will be able to go and come back from school without any knocking down of any student, anything.
The National Road Safety Authority estimates that 36% of pedestrians die each year due to poor traffic regulations and unsafe roads. Until these traffic lights are fixed, pedestrians remain at the mercy of speedy vehicles. Faustina Safo's report for JoyNews.
And you may have big plans for Christmas, but have you thought about the homeless who are struggling to get even a meal a day? We bring you the story of A.C. Akwa, a homeless mother of 5 who's calling on benevolent people not to allow children to starve this Christmas. There's more in this report by Esther Nkrumah.
Christmas is in the air. Many are planning to have a wonderful time. But there are also many slumming it hard on the streets of Accra. Among the many homeless people, the story of AC sticks out like a sore thumb. Economic pressures forced her to flee her hometown of Cape Coast to Accra for a supposed greener pasture. She found a job and later love and settled down. AC seemed to have everything figured out until her husband died in 2015. Everything she had built began to crumble. Left with 5 children to cater for, she struggled to even put food on the table.
Obia so ni score hanu tieja me na me na kakanka ne busu afunso mu ni bi oka obia so ni bi na me de mo bankai na ya bada abonti.
Unable to pay her rent, she started living on the streets of Accra.
De ma ya bada hande me kunu wewu ni sky de hadan na yesa da ya mada ha mba 7 years. Her
family is always on the move. They carry all their belongings to where they find to lay their heads. The belongings she struggled to gather over the years for herself and her children are constantly at the mercy of the weather.
Yeah, I can't cook right. You see, and yes, and kakra, and more squatter and crowd in Sudico, and so Jaya Quafana, you see, and almost I shall coscu. Yan and Sudico, Yan and Sudico. Yan to Monsieur and Cassa, Kobe, any baby, I could Ntia Nayada.
She's saddened by the constant illness of her children as a result of their living condition.
Don't worry, I'm away. You see, I'm a pimples on Maria Saha. Penny Kaka, no, my yard. And you bring away in a back on the soil, back on the so, or buy a wabaka on the soil.
Her son, Godfred, a 15-year-old and a student, has to take up menial jobs after school to support the family.
After school, I went to sell for somebody. If it close, sometimes he will give me 5 CD or 8 CD, and I'll come and give it to my mother.
He also shared his difficulties with studying on the streets after school.
If I come back from school, I'll take my book and learn. I'll learn here at the light, where the light is. If I'm learning, if the rain is coming, I have to stand up and go to market. And I'll go and sit, and I'll find some place to sit and learn.
AC is begging Ghanaians to help her family have a decent Christmas and also help put a roof over her children's head. Esther Nkume's report read to you.
And it's 6 days to Christmas, and the beautiful lights on the principal streets of Accra are back. Hashtag Light Up the City has become the integral part of this Yuletide, as the principal streets of Accra and some major landmarks are decorated with beautiful lights. Speaking at the program to light up the city, the CEO of Jandol Limited, Afia Moro, who is in charge of the decorations, urged people not to allow the worsening global economic conditions to ruin their Christmas celebration. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
A Christmas parade through the principal streets of Accra ahead of the Light Up the City event. Last year, it was all fun when I met these children at the Liberation Circle, their parents. The place, which was decorated with many beautiful lights, had become the ultimate Christmas photo studio.
Yes, about the state of the global economy and commercial implications thereof influence our ability to experience and spread joy this Christmas. This is one of the reasons why we are so passionate about this year's event. It is time to lift up spirits and focus on what matters the most. That is, loving our families and friends and giving to others who have none. Mother Teresa of blessed memory once said that it is not how much we give, but how much love we put into giving. This season is about showing love, caring for each other, and being there for one another. That is the sparkle of Christmas. The best part of this season cannot be bought. It must be felt in the heart.
Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Korte says the beautification of the city with the lights will help us make great memories.
This year's event promises to give Ghanaians a spectacular and exciting experience. This December, the Regional Coordinating Council, in partnership with Messrs. Jandol Limited and Manlo, will light up the capital with a beautiful illumination across the streets of Accra. The Light Up the City 2022 will enhance the Christmas celebrations as a high point for the festive season and bring excitement within the city.
Wondering how you're planning to celebrate Christmas this year. But 12-year-old primary 6 student Kojo Bote at the Cambridge International School has emerged victorious in the Richoko National Essay Competition. The Richoko National Essay Competition is a project geared towards improving literacy amongst basic school pupils. He explained that his father motivated him to take up this competition. Prince Owusansa was there and now reports.
After a thrilling contest, Kwejo Bote, 12-year-old pupil of Cambridge International School, ended the 3-round essay competition with 25 points, emerging as the winner for the upper primary category. 5 schools featured for the Richoko National Essay Competition, but Kwejo Bote at Cambridge International School rose to the occasion.
And I was able to win this competition through the regular teachings from my elder brother and my teachers in school.
Eduke Noko from Osu Presbyterian Preparatory School also swept the award for the junior high school category. She faced off with 5 contestants and emerged as the winner with 26 points at the end of the competition.
Actually, I didn't get much time to prepare because I was told 3 days to Saturday. So, well, some research and look around you for like some things, then get hold of some answers, then, you know.
Speaking to JoyNews, Michael Boateng, brands manager for Richoko, said they are preparing a digital platform for essays written by students to be accessible to encourage others to take up the challenge.
Going into the future is to have some of these essays written by these kids published. So we are working with some other partners to have platforms where we can publish them, where their colleague students can also go and access these essays at no extra cost. So we are talking to other stakeholders where we can have some of these top essays published, and so at any point in time, any of these students or any of these pupils can also go into those platforms and then assess these essays for their own benefits.
He urged students to take advantage of the essay competition come next year to improve their literacy. Prince Owusu Assess report read to you.
And more than 200 ladies are expected to benefit from the Marketing Queen pageant, which is an initiative by PGW Ghana, the leading marketing partner for Longreach International. The Marketing Queen, an entrepreneurship beauty pageant aimed at helping to mitigate graduate unemployment in Ghana, has been launched here in Accra. The pageant launched to support female graduates will require the contestants to exhibit their intelligence in various fields. Speaking at the launch of the event, the Chief Executive Officer for the PGW Ghana slated that the pageant is aimed at raising public awareness of the wealth building prospects offered by the network.
Promotes network marketing. And with the network marketing promotion, we chose the name The Marketing Queen because it's all going to be about marketing. You can't be an entrepreneur without knowing how to market and sell. We believe network marketing have come to stay, and ladies are the people who are leading network marketing all over the world, and that is why we felt we could use this to promote the business of network marketing to the whole world.
And he's also urging young people to go into network marketing in order to reduce youth unemployment.
We think that all youth, every unemployed person, people who are working, Charlie Kruma. So let's all rise, let's welcome network marketing, especially Longreach business, and let's support all these queens as they embark on their journey in trying to eradicate a lot of social problems, including unemployment and several other health issues in society.
And here's what's at stake. The ultimate winner of the pageant takes home a Honda Saloon car, while other finalists will get various business startup packages. So you might want to try, obviously, when you have another opening. But that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I'm Blessed Sogah. Log on to myjoyonline.com for updates. We'll see you again. Bye-bye for now.